This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening everyone and welcome to Southern Cross News. An automated freight train has caused chaos in Devonport this morning after Tasrail was forced to derail the locomotive. Police say there was no operator on board at the time it lost control.
16 wagons off the track, cement spilling out onto the rails as police swarm Devonport's Formby Road. This is the fallout after a train derailed just after 9 o'clock this morning.
Tasmania Police received a phone call notifying us from Tasrail that a train carrying cement which was travelling towards Devonport had become out of control.
Tasrail flagging its intention to deliberately derail the train on its way from Railton over concerns with its performance, prompting swift action from emergency services to clear pedestrians from the area.
Our observations were that the train hit a derailment mechanism and jumped into the air, and then it came to a stop very, very quickly.
And we've seen emergency services flying along the road in that direction. 4 or 5 minutes later, the train was coming this way, but we knew it was going way too fast because you see it come past all the time. And then next minute, just an almighty bang.
But despite their efforts, the message was not received by everyone.
Unfortunately, 2 pedestrians walking on the walking track near the Harbour Master Cafe were injured when the train derailed and came to a stop.
The man in his 40s and woman in her 20s were transported to the North West Regional Hospital with minor injuries. Tasrail says it's still investigating the incident, unable to confirm exactly what their concern was or whether it could have been derailed earlier.
That's still under investigation. We're still working through the cause of the incident.
Tasrail says it could be up to 48 hours before the scene is clear. The investigation has now been handed to the Australian Transport Safety Bureau.
It is very much a one-off, but very unfortunate set of circumstances that will make sure everything in the future is put in place to prevent such an occurrence.
Judy Augustine, Southern Cross News.
A 21-year-old man guilty of causing the death of a 15-year-old girl by dangerous driving has told her family he wished he could trade places with her. Jade Sword had been drinking for 15 hours and was on his way home when the fatal crash occurred.
Family and friends of Brianna Warnington at Hobart Supreme Court hearing the sentencing submissions of the man accused of causing her death. The 15-year-old was a passenger in the car being driven by then 20-year-old Jade Sword on the 30th of June last year. The pair and another man allegedly spent around 7 hours driving around the Greater Hobart area, stopping numerous times to drink and smoke cannabis. Mr. Sword was driving despite only holding a learner's licence and being 3 times over the legal blood alcohol limit. The court heard he allegedly attempted numerous times to race another car, had been cutting corners and speeding throughout the evening. Around dawn, when they were driving home along Baskerville Road, the crash occurred, killing Brianna instantly. Mr. Sword helped remove one friend from the vehicle, but despite trying in vain, he couldn't access Brianna. Defence lawyer Dexter Markenko telling Justice Geeson his client had made full, frank and self-incriminating admissions to police, saying even now he recognises he has a lot to answer for, lives in shame every day and wants to be jailed as he can't enjoy his freedom, and that he'd told Brianna's mother that he would do anything to trade places, and that remains to this day. Mr. Sword has previously pleaded guilty to causing death and grievous bodily harm by negligent driving. His defence lawyer today urging Justice Geeson to take into account the young age of his client and, because of this, to consider the importance of rehabilitation opportunities. As part of his submissions, Mr. Coates read a victim impact statement from the victim's mother, part of which said their lives have been ruined and will never be the same again. Mr. Sword has been remanded in custody and is due to be sentenced in October. Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
The man who set fire to a mental health facility in December 2016 has been sentenced to spend 3.5 years in jail and indefinite time in a mental health facility. David Leslie Chandler was experiencing paranoid delusions that staff at the Peacock Centre were trying to poison him. He threatened to kill them and set the centre alight. Justice Gregory Geeson today called the crime serious and said because Chandler was still living with chronic schizophrenia, he still posed a risk to safety of the public and himself. The fire caused around $2 million damage. A Tasmanian council is coming under fire for new bylaws that effectively prohibit beach cricket and ban adults from using playground equipment. Clarence Council defends the rules as protecting public order and safety, but it's not the only local government area cracking down on behaviour in public parks. If you're in Devonport or Launceston, there's other rules you should be following.
Families playing in the sand at the beach today, unaware technically they could be breaching new council bylaws that prohibit digging and reforming sand. Whether that loose wording covers sandcastles.
No, I think that will get to the point of being just ludicrous.
Beach cricket also on the firing line, effectively banned because beaches aren't a designated area for the sport.
Stupid. Absolutely stupid.
And what do you think about banning adults from going on play equipment as well?
A bit ridiculous, yeah. I mean, that's if they enforce it to that extent.
I mean, why? Why deter people from being physical and perfect place for it, especially for kids?
Clarence City Council says the bylaws are about protecting the amenity for the wider community.
Oh, look, I think that's taking the examples to a fairly extreme level. The issue is always around nuisance and safety.
But it's not the only council with bylaws governing public areas. In Launceston or Devonport, climbing a tree in a park could land you with a $795 fine. Devonport's bylaws include a specific section banning golf in public reserves unless otherwise signed, while Launceston has outlawed preaching and public speaking in parks and the mall without written approval.
A sporting activity on a ground which is not fit for purpose can lead to injury, can lead to insurance claims, can lead to costs for council. So it is important that there is an orderly mechanism to determine the right place for various activities to occur.
The Greens holding a cricket match today in protest of the Clarence bylaws.
The Greens will be moving to disallow this bylaw in Parliament next week. We expect the Labor and Liberal Party to support this motion because these bylaws are unconstitutional.
No one wants to prevent an activity such as beach cricket. That is really not sensible, and so we expect common sense bylaws.
The local government association says a bylaw hasn't been blocked by state parliament in more than 30 years.
The real issue is about understanding the purpose of the bylaw, and that is to make sure that people are able to use public spaces and enjoy those spaces, and where there's competing uses, that they can be managed appropriately so everyone gets a fair go.
Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
Farmers involved in a major overhaul of the state's irrigation network says it's been a game changer doing business. The state government is pressing forward with nearly $500 million worth of major irrigation projects. The 10 schemes to create an extra 78,000 megalitres of water is being considered by Infrastructure Australia.
Pipeline to Prosperity, or Tranche 3, will have the potential to generate $114 million of economic benefit every year for our regional communities.
Farmers who have taken part in previous upgrades say it's helped them grow more crops.
It's given us the ability to stretch our irrigation season right through to the autumn. So we can now look at growing different crops, higher value crops.
A decision by Infrastructure Australia is expected next year. A message in a bottle from an 11-year-old Tasmanian girl has made an incredible journey around Australia. 2 years since leaving the state's east coast, Ella Digny's letter travelled all the way to Queensland, falling into unlikely hands.
Written in grey lead pencil, Ella Digny introduces herself as a Year 6 student in Launceston, offering her congratulations to whoever finds her message in a bottle. That turned out to be the Australian Army in Queensland.
It's just amazing. It's just, from the south end of Tasmania all the way up the east coast of Australia. I bypassed everything and washed up on the beach at Shoalwater Bay.
I didn't really believe it at first, but then my friend called me up and told me that she found an article on Facebook. And yeah, I just didn't really believe it at first, but I was really shocked and stoked that someone replied to it.
2 years ago, Ella gave the bottle to her father as he left for an East Coast getaway.
We've got a shack down Bicheno, and Dad was on a fishing trip, so he decided to drop my bottle and some of my friend's bottle out of the boat.
Her bottle then drifted north, washing up on the shores of Shoalwater Bay near Rockhampton, becoming Army property.
I kind of forgot about it now, but yeah, I was hoping that someone would find it when I was sending it off in grade 6.
Defence personnel smashed it open to read the letter. Inside, the 11-year-old writes about Tasmanian Devils, her family and playing netball.
We've all had a read of it, and we're all very impressed by the neat handwriting.
Now aged 13, Ella is hoping for a reply, and the Army is more than happy to oblige.
I think she might have a couple up at Shoalwater Bay. I know the caretaker was very keen to get in touch with us, so yeah.
Sean McComish, Southern Cross News.
The iconic football brand, the Tasmanian Devils, is officially back following a resounding 75% of the vote from the public. Each representative side from under-12s to the TAC Cup and potentially a future VFL side will now be united under the iconic banner.
Over 400 fresh names were on the table, but never really in with a shot.
But look, we knew pretty early on that Tassie Devils was definitely leading the race, and Mariners did come second at 17%.
In a new era for football in the state, Tasmania's under-18 boys enter the TAC Cup next year, with the girls following suit in 2020.
Very exciting. Obviously, I've actually had family come through the Devils brand and the Mariners, and I think it's very good for Tassie footy.
Females and males get to wear the same experience as we're all same state or the same brand, which I think is a really good experience, and it's an honour to be wearing it.
Last seen in the VFL in 2008, AFL Tasmania is now working to get the Devils brand back in the competition by 2021, but concedes there's still a ways to go before that plan comes to fruition.
We've got to work on the talent. We need to also work on the structure. So who would be on the board, who's the management side, who would our coach be, and what would the playing list look like?
The new playing Guernseys will be unveiled early next year. Tom Cooper, Southern Cross News.
After months of speculation, it's been confirmed the 2018 Launceston Show will go ahead, but as a one-day event. The festival will be held on October 11 with What's on Show currently in the planning stages. The show was axed last year following the refusal of the Launceston City Council to buy out the remainder of the Society's lease of the showgrounds at Inveresk. Now let's take a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. Strong gains from the mining sector have lifted the Australian share market to finish the week higher. The ASX 200 index rose 25.1 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 72.9 US cents and 54.97 British pence.
It's a world record most wouldn't even know existed, let alone be game enough to try and break. But one Hobart woman is hard at work and determined to etch her name into the fitness history books.
The majority of us would struggle doing 10 of these things. Lou Robertson wants to do hundreds of them within an hour.
A couple of girls in Melbourne and on the Gold Coast broke it, and I think I got tagged over 200 times on social media, so I thought that I'd prove to them and prove to myself that I could do it.
If she can manage 700 burpees, she'll become the women's world record holder, joining fellow Tasmanian Charlie Gard, who recently smashed the men's record in Hobart, raising thousands of dollars for cancer research along the way. Lou's hoping for similar support for a cause close to home.
Cystic fibrosis, we've got a family member that's got CF, so we'll raise some funds for that and get the job done.
To get behind her, visit Lou's Everyday Hero webpage or head along on October 20 to the Alma Activity Centre in Bellreeve.
You can do anything you set your mind to. The title's just a little bit extra. It's a bit nice.
Now, Joe, you tipped Richmond earlier in the bulletin. Murph's wearing a Tigers tie. I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, and our commiserations to you, Tom. All right, Collingwood through and through that one.
Good evening. Well, I think most of us would have been happy with the day today. Apart from a shower over the west, fine and sunny. Hobart and Denali scored our high of 21 degrees. Launceston and Burnie 17, Devonport 15 today. Some temperatures up to 6 above average. Grove 19, Friendly Beaches and Ooze 18 degrees. Flinders Island and Smithton 16, King Island and Strawn 15, Low Head and Lyawini both on 14 degrees. So the fine clear skies are over the central and east of the state. Some low cloud over the west and Bass Strait, a little high cloud over the south southeast later as well. An upper level trough has cloud over central Australia, some low cloud over Cape York and the southwest of WA. Tomorrow a cold front appears near our west coast. A high pressure ridge stretches from northern New South Wales down and across to south of Western Australia. A couple of troughs in the picture as well on the mainland. West to northwesterly winds at 15 to 25 knots, reaching 30 knots in the south. They'll tend west-southwesterly in the afternoon and evening with swells to 4.5 metres. Strong wind warning from Wineglass Bay to Sandy Cape and also from the northern parts of Flinders Island down to St Helens Point. A small craft wind alert for the lakes. So the weekend kicks off with an afternoon shower after a fine day for most of the day for Hobart, 18 the top, just 14 for Maydena with a shower, an afternoon shower for Oatlands and 17. Launceston fine and partly cloudy, 18 the maximum, 16 for Devonport with a similar forecast, a shower or two for Lyowini, 11 the high. A shower or two developing for Burnie, 15 the top, 14 for Strawn with showers, showers increasing over Marrawar and 14 degrees. A late shower in the east, St Helens 18 up to 20 for Swansea, Orford partly cloudy and 18 the maximum. On Sunday, showers over the west and south, otherwise fine apart from the chance of a shower over the northeast. Showers over the west and far south on Monday. A cold start with an early frost, cold early again on Tuesday, but fine apart from a shower over the south. Mostly sunny in Perth tomorrow and 24 degrees, sunny in Adelaide, Darwin and Alice Springs, partly cloudy for Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane. And it's still 16 degrees in Hobart, Launceston and Devonport currently 12 degrees and partly cloudy. What about Tom Cooper? He's sooking already, Joe. Game hasn't even started. He's going to be inconsolable later.
Yeah, we won't have to deal with it. We'll be off for the weekend. Thanks, Murph. That's all from the news team for now. We'll see you a bit later with updates. Good night.